This is the Monroe Demon House, the scariest place in America. This house has an interesting and very bizarre history. A history that includes serial killers and satanic cults. And when we visited, it was during a thunderstorm, so the energy was supercharged. Now, lots of previous owners of the house have gotten into bizarre accidents, performing rituals in their room. People don't exactly know what rituals were going on, but they have been confirmed by former tenants. And people think that these rituals opened up some sort of a portal that allowed a demonic being to come through.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new here to the channel, you guys don't know what we do, don't worry, I'm gonna break it down for you guys, man. We talk about the most scariest and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG videos, Facebook, anything weird, unusual, unexplained, you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank all my supporters, man. It's coming back to the channel, watching the videos entirely, commented down below. I greatly appreciate your support. Let's do what we do best, seekers. Stay with me, y'all. Let's seek the truth.
This woman passed away a few hours after this photo was taken when she flew to Turkey for a mommy makeover. 38-year-old Kaydel Brown flew from the UK to Istanbul with her sister Leanne, and she had a procedure done at Clinic Expert. Her procedure included a tummy tuck, liposuction, and BBL. The entire process leading up to the surgery was perfect. They even offered a discount for Kaydel, and that's what made her want to do her surgery here. But things took a turn a few hours into the surgery when the doctor came out and told her sister that Kaydel was dead. This is the doctor that performed her surgery, and she said that with these types of procedures, it is very high risk. Now, you would think that things could not get worse, but when Kaydel's body was brought back to the UK, the coroner told her family that large parts of her organs were missing, such as her brain and her heart. During an interview, the sister said that legally they couldn't do anything and that the clinic was allowed to take the organs if they wanted to.
They returned a body, they'd kept pieces of her heart and her intestines.
How hard was that to hear?
Better. I didn't think it was allowed, but they said it's legal, they can take what they want. Well, I thought you'd have to ask at least permission from family before you took anything, but they sent a death certificate straight away and just put no, there's not even a cause of death.
But a lot of people believe that her organs were removed to sell them.
Facts that one day.
You've heard that before when watching these clips, how they be harvesting things like that. Imagine having to hear that. That's scary, seekers.
It could save your life. If your car ever gets stuck on the train tracks, look for this blue sign. It'll have a phone number on it, and you can call them and tell them that you're stuck, and they'll alert all oncoming trains. We all hate red eyes in pictures, but if your pupils ever reflect white, you might have something wrong with your eyes, such as cataracts, retina problems, or even eye cancer, but sometimes from weird angles it may look white, so don't worry. When you go to sleep, keep your car keys near your bed. That way, if you hear someone trying to break into your house in the middle of the night, you can just set off your car alarm and it'll most likely scare them away. Never use bleach to clean cat urine. When mixed with chlorine bleach, creates a toxic gas that is harmful to humans and can even be deadly in large amounts.
If you watch this video, you'll have nightmares. 2 years ago, an account by the name of Blissfully Ironic uploaded a video to TikTok. In the video, he hears a weird sound in his home and goes around to check it out. The video begins with the man searching around his kitchen with a flashlight, trying to find the source of the noise. He then moves outside to his backyard and shines his light along his fence. And that's when we see something a little strange. Something is looking at him from behind the shed, and when we slow the video down, we see a shadowy figure dart away. It looks to be some sort of creature or person. Many people in his comment section were saying he saw some sort of shadowy paranormal being. However, a lot of other people were saying that it could have been an intruder, or maybe the whole thing was just a prank. But what makes this video even more strange is the fact that the TikTok account Blissfully Ironic that posted this video had previously only uploaded short comedic videos. What do you guys think it was?
A man in Texas killed his adopted son and put him inside of a washing machine where his body was found. A man in Texas has been sentenced to 50 years in jail after his adopted son's body was just found. The child's adoptive mother will also be charged. She was part of this, and the kid was only 7 years old in this case. His name was Troy Kohler. He was found inside of a washing machine on July 28th back in 2022. Now, 3 years after his murder and after his body was found, he is finally getting justice and his family is finally being sentenced. Troy's first grade teacher had a lot of good things to say about him, how he was such an avid reader. He would go straight to the library after class, read books, and then tell his classmates the stories that he read. His teacher also said he would uplift all of his classmates around him and that he was a future leader. These parents tried to get away with the murder too. They filed a missing persons report to the police. So the police decided, okay, let's go to the house and question them. That's usually the case with missing persons reports. The answers were a little sus to them, so they started investigating the house. That's when they found him in the washing machine. They did some digging and they found text messages that incriminated the parents. You know, the parents were mad that the kid was eating their donuts and their like oatmeal cream pies and stuff like that. Why would you even adopt a kid if you're not going to let him eat what he wants? In the text too, the father said, "I'm going to end up killing him." The autopsy report did reveal that he had many injuries, you know, old and new, so that probably led to his death, and then they stuffed him in the washing machine. The father is getting sentenced to 50 years. Hopefully the mother has something similar coming. These people do not deserve to be outside. Took the life of this poor, innocent little kid.
Fascinating facts that you didn't know. In the 1870s, William Shanks spent 15 years of his life calculating pi to 707 places by hand. However, the last few years were wasted as he made a mistake after the 527th digit. The Nanga Parbat is the only mountain taller than 8,000 meters whose maiden summit was done solo. The climber, Herman Buell, did so by taking methamphetamine and reaching the summit after a 19-hour-long climb from his camp. Paul Stanley of the rock band Kiss was born half-deaf with level 3 microtia, leaving him without an ear canal in his right ear. In 2005, Doug Heckman read the EULA before he installed some PC software. The agreement included a clause offering financial compensation to licensees who actually read the license agreement. He emailed the company and the company sent him a check for $1,000.
What? I need to, is that company still active? About to check, well, I'm gonna get a ban right quick.
Morbid Facts, Part 314. In July of 2014, 53-year-old teacher Sharon Budd was in the passenger seat on Interstate 80 in Pennsylvania when a rock thrown from an overpass crashed through the windshield and struck her in the face, blinding her in one eye, shattering her skull, and nearly killing her. The rock had been thrown by a group of teenage boys who were engaged in a reckless spree, stealing steaks, smashing windows with bats, tearing through cornfields, and gathering heavy stones specifically to hurl at passing vehicles. After the impact, they laughed, cheered, and even returned to the scene twice more before being caught. All of them were eventually convicted, and several received prison time. The trauma completely upended Sharon's family, and 2 years later, her husband Randy, who had tirelessly fought for stricter overpass protections and campaigned for legislative change,
Newly released body cam footage shows the convicted Idaho killer being pulled over just months before he committed the murders. In the footage, he is being questioned by police during a traffic stop, and he's getting a citation for going over the speed limit. He's stopped in his white Hyundai Elantra by a Latah County Sheriff's deputy for traveling at 42 miles per hour in a 35 mile per hour zone. The deputy told him he was speeding, and he admits to not wearing a seatbelt when he was pulled over. And he said to the deputy, "I'm just being honest with you." And the deputy responded, "Yup, I appreciate that." Ultimately, he received a $10 citation for not wearing a seatbelt, but is just warned about speeding. This was in August 2022, just 3 months before he committed the murders.
Can I get a phone number from you?
Yeah, why?
We need to put it on the citation as it goes to the court.
Yeah. Just for future reference, I mean, I'm obviously an honest person, right? I told you I wasn't wearing my seatbelt. When people lie to you about that, like say I lied to you about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
My own knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
You honestly go back and look at that, or just...
With a seatbelt like this, I didn't check as I was coming up, so that's why I asked you.
Do you usually?
I should. I noticed you weren't wearing it, and I'm on this emphasis, and like I said, I'm getting paid by ICD, and they want us to enforce the seatbelt law, so I was being more aware of that.
Yeah.
That's where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, have a good night.
Let me tell you about some...
Eerie. The way he was asking questions, saying, "Do you check about that?" And we know what happened 3 months later, so... Weird stuff, man.
Interesting things you probably didn't know. Spiders don't actually have muscles in their legs. They just move them using a hydraulic system powered by their blood pressure. And when they die, their legs curl up because the blood pressure is gone. That feels like such a simple thing to know that I just never would have known. There's a city in Morocco called Chefchaouen that is entirely blue. 1 in 140 people in the world are now a millionaire. There was a Chinese labor camp back in 2011 that had prisoners play online games like World of Warcraft for over 12 hours a day to generate virtual currency from the games, which then the prison guards sold for profit. Oh, the median annual pay during the Great Depression was 22% of the cost of an average home, and today it's 14%, meaning that it was easier to buy a home during the Great Depression than right now relative to the salaries that people are making. This is a picture of George Bush with Harambe's mother in 1998 before Harambe was born. Why? How? I didn't know Harambe was this connected to the happenings of the elite. Astronauts aboard the ISS do not wash or dry their clothes. They literally just wear them until they're too dirty or stinky, then dispose them by dropping them into the atmosphere to burn up during re-entry.
Stop scrolling because this has to be one of the strangest skinwalker encounters ever. Rachel said that she posted on Craigslist looking for a roommate. She said that rent was too much on her own and she was starting to fall behind. That's how she found Lena. Lena moved in a week later, and Rachel said that she was quiet, respectful, and honestly, very pretty. She had jet black hair, a nose ring, and piercings up both ears. She wore black all the time and looked goth and kind of mysterious, but Rachel said that she was very polite. But there was still something off. She kept the blinds closed, never really smiled, and always avoided the hallway mirror. She'd even cover it with a scarf. Rachel said that about a week in, Lena knocked on her bedroom door at around 2 a.m. and said, "Hey, can you tell your boyfriend to stop pacing the hallway? He's creeping me out." Rachel sat up. "Lena, I don't have a boyfriend," she replied. She said that Lena looked genuinely confused. She said, "I saw him, tall, pale, just walking back and forth. He didn't say anything." Rachel said that she didn't know what to say, and she barely slept after that. Over time, Lena started opening up. Late night talks, bits of her past, an alcoholic dad, bad dreams, her fear of being alone. Then one night, she casually said that she also practices witchcraft. Rachel said that she's Christian, and that caught her off guard. She didn't say anything, but that night she moved her Bible to her nightstand. A few days later, they were making dinner, and Rachel said, "You should call your sister again. You haven't talked to her since the funeral." Lena stopped and asked, "How did you know about the funeral?" Rachel said, "Your sister's, you told me the other night." Lena went pale. "Rachel, I never told you that," she said. The next night, Lena left for a job interview at around 6 p.m. At 6:15, Rachel said that she heard her voice in the kitchen. She stepped out, and there she was. Same hoodie, same hair, but she was too tall. Her limbs were too long, and her head was tilted slightly, like it didn't quite fit. Rachel said that she turned to her and smiled. Lena's smile, but stretched too wide, and she whispered, "She tells me everything." Rachel ran to her room and locked the door. She called to Lena, but no answer. She called 5 times. Lena finally called back. "Why did you call me 5 times? I was at my interview," she said. Lena moved out the next day. Her room was empty except for the mirror. It was still covered and cracked right down the middle. Rachel said that she now sleeps with her door locked, but sometimes she still hears Lena's voice.
This
She had to get out of there.
A whale has just died after it collided with a boat's motor in New Jersey. Now, the incident caused one person to fall overboard and nearly capsized the entire vessel. But even though the person wasn't injured, unfortunately, the same cannot be said for the whale, because not long after, it washed ashore and succumbed to its injuries. But the big question that people are asking now is, why didn't they turn the motor off if they knew that a whale was near? Well, the answer is apparently they didn't. Reports say that this happened in a super shallow area of water, which whales don't commonly go through. So as of right now, it's just being treated as a freak accident.
This is the most disturbing Japanese serial killer that you've never learned about. This is Tosomo Mayuzaki, and this is his real hand. If his name is hard to pronounce for you, don't worry about it. You can call him his nickname, the Human Dracula. Now, the reason you might not have heard about this case is because the details of this case are so disturbing that Japanese media tried to hide this. From 1988 to 1989, he was convicted of abducting, murdering, and mutilating young girls from the ages of 4 to 7. The way he would do this is he would drive to a local park or maybe even a playground, and he would have a friendly conversation with these young girls so that way they'd be able to trust him. The second they were able to trust him, he would then lure them into his car by saying, hey, I'll give you a ride somewhere. Once the child would get in his car, he would then strangle them and then mutilate their bodies. As if this isn't the worst part, he would collect their hands as trophies, he would grind up their bones into a powder, put it inside of a package, and mail it to the victims' families. The reason he did this is he enjoyed taunting the victims' families by basically saying, you're never gonna catch me. He would also drink their blood and even eat the hands. But boy was he wrong, because in 1989 he was literally caught in the act of trying to pick up a little girl. He was arrested and put on trial, and he never took accountability for what he did. He had no remorse, and he kept blaming it for his alter ego. He was eventually executed in 2008, and this is why your parents tell you to never trust strangers. There are so many disturbing cases in Japan, but Japan doesn't like people to know about them because they try and keep everything really discreet. They basically don't want the public to freak out about all of these cases, but if you want to know the real deal secrets behind Japan, make sure to hit the like and follow button, and I'll explain them some in the next video.
For those of you who don't know, this is El Jefe, the only known wild jaguar in the United States. He was first spotted on a trail cam in 2011 in the mountains of southern Arizona. It was a huge discovery because they thought jaguars were completely driven out of the United States mid-20th century. And the remaining jaguars were hunted because they were thought to be so dangerous. I mean, they do have the strongest bite force of any cat, including lions and tigers, but that's a different story. After 2011, El Jefe was spotted again in 2016 in the mountains of Arizona again. El Jefe became a hit on social media, but then quickly disappeared and wasn't seen again until last month. El Jefe was spotted again in Arizona, and researchers say it looks like he's thriving. It's cool to know that El Jefe can hold his own for over a decade as the only jaguar in the States. Follow for more fun facts.
Jefe runs the mountains in Arizona, bro. Be aware. Could you guys imagine, like, that's dangerous.
Extremely sad, but true facts that will make you think. In 2012, the most requested Christmas gift by children in the UK was a father. Pigs can actually get depressed. Judith Barzi, who voiced Ducky in The Land Before Time, was murdered by her father before the movie was even released. And Tom Felton, who plays Draco Malfoy in the series of Harry Potter, had to bleach his hair every 10 days for just 30 minutes screen time.
The craziest true fact: wardrobe in a single washing load. And this saves both time and money. But what about the real scientific facts you might be wondering about? According to some studies, being short might mean you live longer than your taller counterpart. And guess what? You might have a reduced risk of certain diseases like cancer. And the best part? Information goes to your brain quicker because of your shorter nerve. So technically, you're a quicker thinker than other people.
3 signs that your phone has been hacked. Number 1, does your phone get hot on a regular basis? This is a huge red flag that your phone has detected a virus, making it work so hard that it overheats all the time. Number 2, have you noticed your phone battery dies really quickly? This is a sign that your phone has a spyware app installed which runs in the background and drains your battery. And number 3, do some of the apps on your phone crash for no apparent reason? Oh, this is a big sign that something is interfering with your app's proper functionality, and it's usually caused by a malware on your device. Literally, one of the only ways to protect yourself is by downloading a VPN. This will disguise your location, making it look like you're in a different country, meaning that your phone cannot get hacked. Now take a minute to share this message with all your friends and follow for more.
Blood curdling facts that you wish you never knew. Part 14. There was a woman in the 18th century named Mary Toft who shoved dead rabbits inside of her and later acted as if she gave birth to them. And the doctors actually believed her until one of them discovered corn inside one of the rabbit's stomachs. More people have tapeworms than have dogs, which I guess makes them the most popular pet. Oh yeah, and this is what it looks like up close. So you know how every few pistachios you eat, there's always one that tastes a little bit different? Well yeah, it's because there's a dead navel orange worm inside of it. An octopus's penis is actually one of its tentacles, so if you ever got to pet one at SeaWorld, you might have just groped the damn thing. Dying from starvation is because your body used all of its resources in order to feed your brain. And as a last resort, it begins to digest the muscle around your most vital organs until all that's left is your heart. So you die by eating your heart.
Never knew that.
Let's look at some crazy things happening in the world right now. Elon Musk now controls over 65% of all satellites that are orbiting the Earth right now. A new survey came out saying that nearly half of all parents, or 47%, admit to only staying together for their kids. 2 inmates conceived a healthy baby without even meeting. They used an air vent, bedding line, and a yeast infection applicator. Can't deny that that was creative. An airplane departing Shanghai was delayed 5 hours after an elderly woman tossed coins into the jet engine for good luck. Flowers in Antarctica are starting to bloom, and experts are saying that that is not good news. Meta is going crazy and offering tons of money to top AI people, and offered someone $1.25 billion for one person. I think that's about what LeBron has earned in his entire career, if that, from a salary. And he said no. You said no to $1 billion just to have a job somewhere.
This is why you need to be careful with dating
can't buy
apps.
happiness.
On November 15th, 2017, 24-year-old Sydney Louvre decided to meet Bailey Boswell in person after speaking on Tinder for a few days. For their first date, Bailey invited Sydney to come over to her apartment that she shared with her boyfriend Aubrey Trail. 24 minutes after Sydney arrived to the apartment, her phone was turned off, and Bailey and her boyfriend Aubrey murdered her and chopped her body into 13 pieces using a saw. This attack was planned by the couple for a while, and there's even surveillance footage of them going into Home Depot and buying the saw and cleaning supplies. They then scattered Sydney's remains along the roads in Clay County, Nebraska, and it was found 3 weeks later. Investigators later found out that the couple talked about gaining power by committing murders and making videos of them torturing people. At the end of it, Bailey was sentenced to life in prison and Aubrey was sentenced to death.
Be careful who you're talking to on Twitter, man. Freaking catfishes out here, bro. If you're gonna meet up, you gotta meet up somewhere public.
This woman used Roblox to instruct a 10-year-old girl on how to murder a 2-year-old infant. This is 36-year-old Tara Sykes, and this story is incredibly disturbing. Tara Sykes' 10-year-old daughter was living with a different family, and she wasn't happy with it. So she got onto the game Roblox and started communicating with her 10-year-old daughter. And eventually these chats turned completely disturbing. Tara communicated with her 10-year-old daughter over Roblox and told her exactly how to kill this 2-month-old baby. At first, she told her daughter to drown the baby in a bathtub. Then she told her daughter maybe she could burn the baby to death with scalding hot water. And then eventually she settled on telling her 10-year-old daughter to drop the baby on its head. And sadly, that's exactly what her daughter would go on to do. Tara's daughter picked up the 2-month-old child of the people she was living with, walked over to the kitchen floor, and dropped the baby on its head, attempting to end its life. The 10-year-old girl would later tell authorities that she was horrified of her mother, and she was terrified about what her mother would do to her if she didn't carry out her disturbing instructions. Further investigation also showed that Tara had instructed her 10-year-old daughter to kill the 2 adults that she was living with at the time. She told her daughter to go cut the 2 adults' throats with a kitchen knife while they slept, and then instructed her to douse the bed sheets with aerosol spray and light the house on fire. Now, shockingly, the 10-year-old actually did douse the sheets with spray, but she told authorities she wasn't able to finish the disturbing act. Now, Tara has been charged with a number of different things, but her trial has not been officially started yet, so I don't know exactly what's going to happen in this case, but I do see Tara receiving an extremely long sentence, hopefully life in prison, because this entire thing is just so completely disturbing and messed up. And I really hope that she's never able to see the light of day again. This is the Monroe Demon House, the scariest place in America. This house has an interesting and very bizarre history. A history that includes serial killers and satanic cults. And when we visited, it was during a thunderstorm, so the energy was supercharged. Now, lots of previous owners of the house have gotten into bizarre accidents. Accidents that have taken the lives of some of their loved ones, and they've been plagued with bad luck while they lived in the house. At some point, the home actually became a boarding house, and some of the tenants in the upstairs, which I'm filming right now, were performing rituals in their room. People don't exactly know what rituals were going on, but they have been confirmed by former tenants. And people think that these rituals opened up some sort of a portal that allowed a demonic being to come through. There were also bones found in the basement that were confirmed to be human bones. And people have seen a creature that looks, something that looks almost like a deer or an animal prowling the halls. Now let me tell you, this is one of the most intense places I've ever investigated. We had a crucifix that we set up on the wall fly off of the wall twice, all on camera. And the energy inside of this place was some of the darkest I've ever come across. And the spirits in the home told us of bones that might be buried in the backyard. And I later confirmed with the owner that ground penetrating radar had been used and that there are bodies in the back. If you want to see this full video, it's on my YouTube now. The link is in my bio.
Which zombie
I couldn't go there.
the longest in? Comment down below. Starting off, you have World War Z. Now we have to take a step back. World War Z is not only a zombie movie, where these zombies are as fast as Usain Bolt, they're also extremely intelligent, to the fact that they don't just go to sound, they know where you are. It's almost like they're heat-seeking zombies. You also have to talk about the fact that they can climb on themselves and each other to create bridges, climb buildings, and even climb up to skyscrapers and helicopters. I'm realistically giving your survival chances probably 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes, depending on if you're in a rural place or a massive city. We then have to talk about 28 years later. Now, you don't only have to worry about regular zombies, because yes, they are zombies, but you have to worry about the alpha zombies, the ones that pretty much tell the other zombies what to do. Those are highly intelligent, take a ton of damage to unalive, and if there's one alpha zombie for every 40 to 50 zombies, I'd realistically say your chances of survival are probably a few hours. The last one has to be the Walking Dead. Now, these are probably the easiest zombies to survive. We don't have a ton of different variants of zombies. They don't run, they walk, and your chances of survival go up at least 80%, as long as you're not stupid. Don't forget to like and follow for more. And comment down below how long you could survive each movie.
Everyone needs to...
How long do you think you guys can survive? The Walking Dead one's probably the most realistic one. The other two you're cooked.
So what's happening in Angola right now? At least 22 people have been killed, nearly 200 have been injured, and over 1,000 have been arrested after the country exploded into protest this week against the government's decision to raise fuel prices by 33%. Human Rights Watch accused police of using excessive force against what started as largely peaceful demonstrations, but quickly turned into violent clashes with police, tear gas being fired, stores being looted, infrastructure being vandalized, and eventually it got to the point where the army had to be deployed to restore order. But here's where things get wild. You see, the government said that they needed to cut subsidies to fuel specifically because they have to reduce the financial pressure the government is experiencing right now. But Angola, as it turns out, is the second largest oil producer in Africa, yet the country still has a diesel shortage and they can't even meet domestic demand. This is because they don't have enough refineries. So despite the oil abundance, they are still having to import diesel and gas from other countries at high prices. And to make matters worse, their decision to increase fuel prices has led to a steep rise in the cost of public transportation, as well as a rising cost of food and other necessities. The opposition party accused the current government's policies of putting Angola in a severe economic and social crisis. And as one protester told local media, "We are tired. They must announce something for things to change for us to live in better conditions." So the question is, what do you guys think?
2 places in the world where you should never go swimming. First up, we've got the boiling lake. What makes it so dangerous is there is actually boiling magma underneath this lake. If you went swimming in here, well, it would be game over. It is that hot that it would literally burn all of the skin off your body. And next up, we've got Jacob's Well. No, it doesn't belong to anyone called Jacob. This lake is so clear that you can see right to the bottom of this cave. However, if you swam to the bottom of here, you are very unlikely to come out alive. The reason being, this lake has hidden caves, so if you did swim down one of them, you are very unlikely to make it out.
Village of Ashcroft, British Columbia. The blaze was so intense it knocked out power and took nearly 5,000 gallons of water to extinguish. Later, investigators discovered the unlikely cause to be a fish. A local osprey had snatched the fish from a river 2 miles away and accidentally dropped it onto a power line. The impact caused embers to fall into the dry grass below, sparking the fire. Thankfully, no one was hurt, and the fish-dropping bird is still flying free.
The chainsaw for bureaucracy! Chainsaw!
29 billion? God damn. I know Elon Musk is the richest man on Earth, but damn, 29 billion?
She ended her life just for a free breakfast. Rebecca and Joshua grew up in South Wales and they were both 14 years old when they started dating. Soon the relationship started to fizzle and Joshua started to become more challenging to deal with. On the other hand, Rebecca had 2 goals in her life, and that was to keep studying and working to become a lawyer, but she also wanted to keep her relationship with Joshua. The two were always off and on, so their parents could never really figure out if they were dating or not. Rebecca's parents really liked Joshua. They even treated him like their own son, but they became very disappointed in him when he started spreading rumors that Rebecca was pregnant. Despite these rumors, Rebecca believed that she loved him and she wanted to give him another chance. Joshua is texting a group chat with his friends and he is telling them that he would like to end Rebecca's life during the times that they are on the off end of the relationship. He even told them that he would like to break her neck because of how annoyed and angry he was with her. However, one of Joshua's friends replies and said, "If you do it, I will buy you breakfast." Now, this was a bet that Joshua did not want to lose. The very next day, Joshua told Rebecca to meet him and she was just very excited to hopefully be winning him over again. She had bought new clothes, did her makeup, but little did she know that would be the last day she was ever seen. Joshua asked Rebecca to meet him in the woods near his home and she did. Once she arrived, Joshua lunged at her, trying to break her neck, but she was screaming, so in a fit of panic, he grabbed a rock, slammed it on her head until her skull caved in. Joshua left Rebecca there to die from her injuries while he ran back home. 2 days after Rebecca's disappearance, Joshua messaged his friends and told them that they owe him a breakfast and to not say anything. Later that day, Joshua wrote a Facebook status saying how it was a lovely day but an even better breakfast. Rebecca's body was found about 2 days later and Joshua even joined in on the search. He even posted on social media that he was worried and hoped she returned safely. Soon enough, Joshua was apprehended as a suspect since Rebecca's parents told police that she had a date with him. His phone was confiscated and once they looked at his text messages, they had clear evidence, but he told police that this was all a joke. Joshua stated that he would never do this to someone, especially for some free breakfast. Evidence against Joshua was hardly circumstantial and he was sentenced to prison for 14 years. However, if he were to plead guilty, he could get a few years taken off. He did not plead guilty and he went to jail without saying anything, and about 8 years later he told his probation officer what he did. Although Joshua was a minor during this time, Rebecca's mother wishes that he would get a longer sentence or even the death penalty.
His Discord friends tracked him down after he murdered his entire family. On July 2019, 24-year-old Menhas Zaman murdered his entire family before they could find out that he dropped out of school. His family believed that he was studying engineering at York University in Toronto, but little did they know that he had been lying for 3 years. On this day, Menhas sent a message to a group of friends on Discord saying that he was going to murder his entire family. One by one, Menhas shared photos of his family, first his mother, then his grandmother, then his sister, then his father, and they were all deceased. He then played video games and took a nap while his friends online were figuring out whether this was real or fake. But after his online friends shared these gruesome photos with other people, they realized that he actually did murder his entire family. After some digging, his online friends found his IP address and realized he was from Toronto. They then contacted Toronto police and they quickly found Menhas' address and went to his house. When police arrived to the home, Menhas sent his last message to the group chat and he said, "Police are here, goodbye." The bodies of his entire family were lying around the house and he confessed that he did this because his graduation was approaching and he didn't want his family to feel ashamed that he didn't finish school. The autopsies revealed that Menhas struck each one of his family members with a crowbar and then cut their throats. Menhas was sentenced to life in prison and is eligible for parole in 40 years.
Horror movie monsters
Just
would
to
be
keep up with the
impossible.
lie.
The Creature from the Ritual. The story follows 4 college students, reunited for a hiking trip in Sweden to honor one of their unalived friends. And they decide to take a shortcut through a dense forest and are now being stalked. But what's stalking them is revealing past traumas and secrets. And the creature that's stalking them has a humanoid-like torso with a massive moose/elk head, glowing eyes and arms protruding out of its head. It acts as if it's some kind of god to the forest. And get this, it feeds on fear and submission, and only spares the ones that worship it. So you're telling me that there is a massive skinwalker-esque creature in the woods. You're out there alone with your friends, celebrating an unalived friend's birthday, and now you're being stalked by a massive elk skinwalker. Yeah, you're clapped. I don't know what else to tell you. You then have the haunted mirror from Oculus. I mean, technically mirrors aren't monsters, but you kind of get the premise, right? Now, I tried to talk about this the other day, and y'all didn't like it, so I had to slip it in here. The story follows a mirror made of lazuli glass that is said to be responsible for a ton of supernatural things in the real world, such as mysterious deaths. And the story itself follows a brother and sister, Tim and Kaylee, who decide to reconnect after years of past trauma when they were children, because this mirror affected their parents. And now they said, you know what? We're gonna destroy the mirror. Let's get together, let's reunite after years. Let's try to take this mirror down. And of course, in horror movie fashion, that was probably the worst mistake you could make possible. Because A, the mirror can shift you through different timelines. It also can have you hallucinate things that aren't actually real. I mean, at one point, Kaylee was quite literally eating a light bulb, and she don't know why. But of course, their whole goal is to destroy this mirror to get rid of all of the bad juju on their family and prove once and for all that their family was cursed. I'm just gonna tell you right now, that did not happen. That was not something that was in the cards for these two. They should have just left it alone and tried to figure out how they can move past all of it. Because I'm not gonna lie, the way it ended would have been better off just leaving it alone and dealing with the bad juju. Don't forget to like and follow for more, and comment down below what horror movie monsters I should cover next.
This is the worst thing that could ever happen to you. You may have seen some of these photos before, and yes, they are all 100% real. Known as the 1,000-yard stare, this was a very common occurrence, and these photos mostly being captured during World War II. But there is also much more recent examples, and people still do struggle with this to this day. It gets its name from the people who are just staring thousands of miles away into the distance with no thought behind them. I also know this as shell shock, which is also pretty much the same thing, but what typically causes this is seeing something sudden and very traumatic, like someone passing away right in front of you suddenly in the war, or any sort of immediate traumatic event that could happen in your life during the war or even during today. Then triggers something in your body which puts you into this state where you can barely function and are just fixated on this one thing. But what makes it even worse is you've probably heard stories from back during the war of people with shell shock and how they were treated so badly. We barely knew anything about mental illness or things like this back there, so there wasn't much they could do, and if they did try, it would normally make it worse. Nowadays, luckily, even though this does still happen, there are a lot more physical treatments, we know about it, and it can be helped.
Crazy to think about, man. That 1,000-yard stare. We be seeing memes on Twitter, but there's a deeper meaning behind it. Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate the support. Make sure you guys leave a thumbs up in this video, comment down below, hit that post notification bell. You guys are going to catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.
And some even spent time in prison, starting with the one that shocked me the most, Phil Lewis, who played Mr. Mosby on The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. He went to prison for manslaughter. So in 1991, way before The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody aired, Phil killed a 21-year-old girl while drinking and driving. But he was released early and only served 1 year because of the work he did in prison. Next, we got Debbie Ryan, who played Bailey Pickett on The Sweet Life on Deck. When Debbie was 22 years old, she was arrested and charged with a DUI after she crashed her car with another person and severely injured them. Okay, this one's crazy. Back in 2018, Adam Hicks, who starred in Zeke and Luther, was arrested after going around pointing guns at people and robbing them with the help of his girlfriend, Danny. He ended up getting only 5 years in prison, and now he's pursuing his music career and he's on TikTok. Now, this one definitely caught me off guard because Mitchell Musso played such an innocent kid on Hannah Montana, but he was arrested for public intoxication on August 26th of this year when he apparently stole a bag of chips from a store, but he denies this ever happened. Mitchell was also arrested back in 2011 when he was 20 years old for a DUI. Let me know which one surprised you the most, because mine was Mr. Mosby.
Yeah, it was Mr. Mosby for me as well. You never would have guessed that.
Do you think ghosts can help solve cold cases? Well, throughout history, there's been reports of ghosts coming back to tell their loved ones who killed them, like the story of Fred Fisher. And if you're interested in these kind of stories, I just did a podcast episode on the most famous one. So in 1826, an Australian man by the name of Fred Fisher disappeared into thin air. But this never sat right with his best friend John, because Fred seemed to have left in the middle of the night and didn't take any of his stuff with him. Fred's neighbor claimed that he had gone back to England and had named him the power of attorney. And then his neighbor starts selling all of Fred's stuff. So John starts thinking that something is not right. So one night, months later, John is walking down the street, he's had a few drinks, and right when he's passing Fred's property, he sees a ghostly figure standing in his yard. It looks exactly like Fred, but he's completely pale with like this dead stare. And the figure just lifts one hand slowly and points past John to a creek that's behind him. So the next day, John goes down to the creek right around where this apparition was telling him to go, and sure enough, he finds Fred's body. Not only did this ghost lead John to Fred's body, but it also led to the arrest of the sketchy neighbor for his murder. This full story and more this week on the pod.
Ghosts coming back and telling their side of the story wasn't in the...
In 1992, the body of Aglina Diaz de Leon was found right here in this church courtyard. My fiance and I host the podcast Murder in America, and we decided to visit this church on a sunny day last month so we could tell Aglina's story to all of you guys. In 1992, Aglina was found right here in the courtyard of the building, nude, and her throat had been slashed after she was strangled. For 10 years after the crime, nobody had a clue who killed Aglina, and it was a national mystery. That is, until one day in 2002, when police finally got a lead through DNA. Witnesses saw a man named Guadalupe Sandoval near the scene of the crime the night that it happened, and DNA linked him 10 years later to the murder. In the meantime, he had married and raised 2 kids. You never know who you're marrying, I guess.
Truly don't, and it sounds like he got away with it too. Sickening.
The Muffin Man is actually a serial killer. You know the Muffin Man nursery rhyme, right? But did you know it was based on a dark, true story? 1 second. Chocolate chip. Tastes like your mama booty. But yeah, the story is darker than you think. Because in the 1800s, there was a man named Frederick Thomas Linwood. And he would wait lurking in alleys, looking for his next victim. And they would always be kids. You see, he would kidnap them and unalive them, luring them in with muffins. I mean, what kid wouldn't want a tasty snack? When the townspeople got word of what was happening, they decided to come together and figure out a way to prevent this, to spread awareness amongst the kids and keep them safe, warning them about the Muffin Man, who was a danger on Drury Lane. You're walking past the alleyway, and the Muffin Man gets you. Your fourth act sees this and tries to rescue you. Let me know who it is, and let me know if you think you'd be doomed or not. Anyways, he's one of the first documented serial killers in the world. And everyone still teaches this song to their kids, even children TV shows. And yet nobody knows that...
The Muffin Man. I heard about that because of Shrek, bro. You know, the Muffin Man scene between Gingerbread Man and Lord Farquaad. Classic.
Nobody has been able to explain this creepy viral video. For the past 11 years, a man who runs a TikTok account by the name of Dude My House is Haunted has been pretty confident that there has been some paranormal activity within his home. He claims that ever since his wife passed away, there have been some strange and unusual things going on. So eventually he decided to leave cameras out and record what was happening and post it onto TikTok, which is the footage that you are about to see. In this video you can see a chair seemingly moving on its own. It moves somewhat slowly until it suddenly is violently pulled into the corner by the kitchen. A mysterious shadowy figure can be seen moving behind the chair, and then suddenly out of nowhere the chair is thrown into the kitchen. Now of course we're not really sure what happened in this video, but I'm having a hard time coming up with an explanation for this one.
Or it could just be an edit. Simple as that.
Insanely dark facts and things that have happened at Disney World. When Disney had first opened way back in the 70s, Walt Disney had originally hired spies. He would station them around the park so they could eavesdrop on the guests and get a feel for how they actually liked the experience. It's pretty much common knowledge that Disney does have an underground tunnel system, but did you know that that system runs a full 9 acres under the park, and people have actually gotten lost down there? Roughly 10 or so years ago, there was an incident that was reported near Space Mountain when a guest tried to sneak on a duffel bag. When employees found out and they asked to search it, they found inside a 6-month-old baby. Why this parent was trying to sneak a baby onto a roller coaster, we do not know. In a lesser-known incident that Disney actually covered up pretty well, in 2004, a 38-year-old cast member who was playing Pluto was run over by the Beauty and the Beast float during the opening parade. Although clearly deceased at the scene, Disney refused to declare the death until the body was brought outside of the park.
The things companies do for money, man.
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew. Part 18.
A man from Queens once spent 5 months in jail completely unaware that his bail was just $2. Since spiders molt, when you see what you might think is a dead spider, it could just be that the spider left behind its exoskeleton and is now bigger than before, around with a bunch of poop inside of them. Scientists accidentally killed the world's oldest living animal, which was a clam that lived to be 507 years old. Statistically speaking, at least one person who comments on this video will not be alive tomorrow. The real reason you shouldn't eat raw cookie dough isn't because of getting sick from eating raw eggs. It's because you shouldn't eat raw flour, which contains fecal matter from all the birds flying over the field and pooping on the wheat.
I bet you didn't know that these 3 myths aren't true. So the first one is that if you swallow chewing gum, your stomach will take 7 years to digest it. And that's just not true. And that's totally cap, because if you swallow some gum, it'll only take about 2 to 4 days to pass through your entire system. Wow. The second myth is that cracking your knuckles will give you arthritis. Scientists have not yet discovered a correlation between cracking your knuckles and arthritis. However, over time it can lessen your grip strength. And at number 3, we have the myth that sugar makes kids hyper. I totally thought this one was true, but scientists say that it's completely false. While it has been proven that sugar can change your mood and make you feel more active, there's no real connection between kids being hyper and the consumption of sugar.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna have to call cap on that last one, bro. Because if you get some kids some sugar, bro, they'll be freaking hyper, man, running all around the place, man. I don't believe that last one. Like I said, when we watch these videos together with you guys, we always gotta do our own research. Where he at? The middle of the night. Could not be me.
AC is not working. Look at everyone. So many people, they are using these magazines. AC is not working at all. And as usual, your TV screens are also not working. Neither this button for calling the cabin crew. Nothing is working. Nothing. Not even the light is working. Is this what you are providing? And as usual, that is why Air India is considered as one of the worst airlines in the world.
We all know how that ended.
These
Tragic.
are facts that make death even scarier.
Up first, since the first ever human being, about 108 billion people have died. If you just stop and think about that for a second, it's actually impossible to wrap your head around. Every single human being you've ever read about has lived on this planet and died. Next up, we've all heard the phrase, he died of old age. But that is a complete myth. You don't actually die from old age, but instead all the sicknesses and diseases that come with getting old. Getting old is actually awful and is probably one of the worst things about being a human. Finally, by the time you finish this video, 150 to 200 people will have died. People die every second of the day, which should make you stop and appreciate your life right now. Because it could be gone within seconds.
You're spitting at the end, man. We gotta appreciate the time we have now.
Can you imagine living with someone that you know is trying to end your life? This hidden camera captures a moment this woman puts bleach inside her husband's coffee maker multiple times a day. This is Robbie Johnson, and he began setting up cameras all around his house when he started to notice that his coffee was tasting a little off. He wasn't really expecting to catch anything, but when he looked back at the footage, he was shocked. His wife Melody is seen pouring a substance inside his coffee maker every single day before he brewed the coffee. Robbie got testing strips, and each time it tested positive for chlorine. At this time, Robbie and Melody were in the process of a divorce, but they were still living together. Robbie pretended to drink his coffee every morning and continued to gather evidence so that he can go to police. But when he showed police all this footage, they said that they couldn't see exactly what Melody was pouring into the coffee maker, so he couldn't prove it. So Robbie had to set up even more cameras around the house with different angles so that it can prove that Melody was in fact poisoning him. Melody was charged with attempted murder, and I bet this guy will never let anyone else make him a coffee again.
Damn right. After seeing that.
Today I'm going to be asking my haunted doll about S-walkers. I won't say their name because people don't like saying their name. So if you don't know what an S-walker is, basically it's this creature that's been seen throughout history. A lot of Native American culture believes in these walkers and believe that they are demonic entities that kind of pose themselves as animals or different types of species. So I'm going to ask my haunted doll what she thinks of them, if she believes in them. The link to the Spirit Box app I use is in my bio. Lola, do you believe in S-walkers? Yes, she does. Have you ever come across one before? Yes. That was a really quick yeah. Have you ever been attacked by an S-walker? No, that's good. They're dangerous. Are they dangerous to be around? Yes. I feel her getting very anxious about it. I think that's confirmation that she's anxious. Lola, do you think any of our followers have ever had an experience with S-walkers? Yeah, she thinks that maybe some of you have. Will you keep our followers safe from these creatures? Yes, she will. She'll always keep you guys safe. She'll do the best she can.
I don't know. What was that device just twisting how she communicated with that dog?
What's a missing persons case that still keeps you up at night? I always think about the disappearance of Nicholas Downey and how he completely disappeared after his rental car was found abandoned. So this is 37-year-old Nicholas Downey, and he was last seen on February 27th, 2023 in Bristol, Florida. At the time he was working in Bradenton, but he'd taken a week off to go and visit his wife Holly, who was staying at a rehabilitation center in Mississippi. For the trip, Nicholas rented a Tesla through the Turo app. He was on his way back home when on February 26th, he pulled off of Interstate 10 to recharge the Tesla behind a McDonald's in Marianna, Florida. Security footage shows that someone exited the vehicle to charge it, but the footage was too blurry to know if it was actually Nicholas getting out of the car. The person then gets back into the car before pulling on a State Road 71 heading south instead of getting back on the interstate. While this was happening, the car's owner was watching its progress on the Turo app and saw the direction it was heading. This worried the owner because the car wasn't heading back to Tampa as planned, and he already had the car scheduled to be rented out by another customer the following day. So he sent Nicholas a text message to make sure that he was okay, which would have showed up on the car's dashboard, but he never got a response back. Nicholas was scheduled to go back to work the morning of February 27th, but he never showed up. Instead, that morning, the Tesla he was renting was found abandoned in Liberty County, parked between Turkey Creek and Prison Road. This area is, I guess, known as the Stoke site. But Nicholas was nowhere to be found. The car only had a little bit of charge left and the windshield was damaged. Authorities found that the car at some point had driven under a cable, and this was confirmed when they found the cable in question about 1.5 miles away with the car's white paint on it. The police contacted the vehicle's owner, who was then able to remotely unlock it. And inside the car, police found 2 phones, one belonging to Nicholas and one belonging to his wife, who wasn't allowed to have a personal phone at the rehab center. Also inside the car was a change of clothes, a McDonald's receipt, a drone that Nicholas used for work, and an unknown substance. Authorities searched the area surrounding the car by land and air, and they even brought in tracking dogs, but no trace of Nicholas has ever been found. According to a sheriff that was on the scene, he said that there were hardly any footprints surrounding the car, and that something isn't adding up. His family didn't even know about his disappearance until a few days later on March 3rd when his wife was allowed to call him, but a deputy answered instead. The car rental was without contact and done through the Turo app, so the owner of the car never actually met Nicholas. And according to Nicholas's mom, she last spoke to him around 8:30 the night he went missing, but nothing seemed out of the ordinary. She mentioned that Nicholas did struggle with alcohol and drugs in the past, but he's never just not reached out. They talk almost every day, so it's not like him to just disappear. It's now been a year and Nicholas is still missing. If you have any information about his disappearance at all, please contact the number on the screen.
He just vanished. That was a weird story. Through that Turo app, that's when they be using to rent cars, right? Luxury cars. I've heard about that.
This might be the scariest thing that ever happened to America. We all know that America had a lot of scary things happen to it. But this has to be the scariest thing ever. On August 29th, 1968, every single TV in America shut down. But a demonic whispering was coming from every TV in America. Many people believe that it was the devil trying to get across some message, but nobody really understood it. This lasted for about 25 seconds, then all the TVs came back on. To this day, nobody knows what caused it or why it happened, but everybody believes it was the works of the devil.
Glad I wasn't around during that.
December 29, 1986, a California Highway Patrol officer named Craig Pyre drove his cruiser down Interstate 15 in San Diego, California. With him was an NBC News reporter filming a segment about highway travel safety that was set to air later that night. At around 4 a.m. the previous morning, a 20-year-old college student named Kara Knott had been found strangled to death in a creek right near the Mercy Road exit. And so as Officer Pyre passed by the Mercy Road exit and continued down Interstate 15, as they filmed, he began talking about the basics of highway travel safety.
Anything could happen. Being a female, you could be raped, robbed if you're a male, all the way to where you could be killed.
As this particular segment was filmed, Officer Pyre was looking ahead and he noticed there was a car pulled over on the shoulder of the highway with its hazards on. So he turned to the news crew and basically said, look, here's a chance for us to actually show what to do in case your car breaks down on the highway. Officer Pyre walked over to the passenger side door of this car and asked him to explain what happened to your car. The driver said he had run out of gas and then gotten stranded on the side of the road. And then he had left his car and walked to a gas station to get a gas can. Came all the way back, he put the gas into his car, but his car still wouldn't start. This driver is doing basically exactly what he shouldn't be doing, according to the safety tips Officer Pyre had given. And so on camera, he basically says to this guy, do you understand how dangerous it is to have left your car like that and walked alone on this highway? And the driver just kind of looked at him and shrugged like, yeah, I guess so. After that, Officer Pyre and the news crew wrapped up filming. They told him what time to expect his segment to air on NBC that night. And when Officer Pyre's actual segment aired on TV, there were a few people, when they watched this clip, that noticed something very specific. And within an hour of this clip airing on TV, those few people were calling the police in droves to tell them, we know what happened to Kara Knott. It would turn out all the clues the police needed to solve the Kara Knott murder case were right there in that 1.5 minute long video. Because what happened to Kara had almost happened to over 24 other women in San Diego. The other 24 women who encountered the same person, the killer. They were terrorized and tortured and held hostage for a couple of hours, but eventually were let go. But Kara wasn't. During her encounter, at some point, the killer clubbed her over the head and then strangled her to death with a rope. Now, the killer at first had gotten away with this until they were featured on that 1.5 minute long video. And some of those women who had survived their attack, they're watching the segment and suddenly their attacker is on TV. And so put that all together and they thought, boom, that's the person who killed Kara Knott. And sure enough, the police would follow up on these tips and they would confirm that the man in the video was Kara's killer. And Kara's killer was none other than Officer Craig Pyre. Officer Pyre was found guilty of murder and sentenced to 25 years to life in prison.
I was the officer. That was a plot twist. You gave him safety tips, but he was doing those things himself.
What did Buzz Aldrin see in Antarctica? Let's rewind. So in 2016, a satellite got an image of what experts believed to be a huge pyramid in Antarctica. Now, if this was in fact a pyramid, it would be the largest pyramid ever found on Earth. Bigger than the Great Pyramid of Giza, which was about 230 meters wide. This pyramid in Antarctica would be 2,000 meters wide. Now, apparently in 2016, Buzz Aldrin and a crew got together and went to Antarctica to explore and check out this colossal pyramid. They wanted to see it for themselves. But this is where it gets crazy. While on the expedition, Buzz Aldrin suffered a heart attack. He was hospitalized for days. But when he fully recovered and left the hospital, he tweeted something strange, but then quickly deleted it. It said, "We are all in danger. It is evil itself." Now, what the hell he talking about? Cause I don't want to find out. Someone close to Buzz said they had a talk with him and he said this.
Buzz did say one thing. He just said, we thought out things we shouldn't. And I went, what do you mean by that?
Come on, man. What did they find? Was it aliens, a Nephilim giant, other humans? If it is a pyramid, who built it and what was living in it?
You got contact with aliens, bro?
Yo, what's up? These are Kids That Killed, Part 5. Today on our list, Aaron Campbell. On July 2nd, 2018, 6-year-old Alicia McPhail was nowhere to be found throughout her house. Her parents searched her room, the living room, and every other part of the house, but she could not be found. But the crazy thing was her bicycle was still parked out on the curb, so she couldn't have gone far. I mean, she was only 6 years old and didn't have a habit of running away, so her parents began to worry. But it turns out that this 16-year-old psychopath Aaron Campbell had actually contacted Alicia's dad the night before trying to buy some drugs, and when he went to pick him up and Alicia's dad wouldn't answer, he snuck inside the home, grabbed Alicia while she was sleeping, and kidnapped her. Alicia then woke up while she was being carried around by her kidnapper, and he told her that she had nothing to worry about and that he was a friend of her father's and he was going to get her home safely. But that was far from the truth. It'd be shortly after the young girl woke up that the 16-year-old would move on to brutally beat this young 3-foot-tall 6-year-old girl. It wouldn't be until the morning after this incident where the parents and neighbors would have a search party going out to look for the young girl, and they would find her dumped in a woodland area about 15 minutes away from their home with over 117 different injuries on her body. It was said that they found trace evidence of semen on this girl's body, and it was even claimed by forensics that she was beaten long after she had already died. It was later found out by the police during an investigation that Aaron Campbell was the one who committed these horrific acts on this young girl, and at the age of 20, when he was in prison already, he actually got beat and his front tooth went through the top of his lip. Sorry, Aaron, but you got what was coming to you.
This family was last seen in 2022, but have never been seen since. Hello, true crimeers. This is the case of the Bernstein family. Viewer discretion is advised. Pictured here in the middle is 33-year-old mother Abigail Bernstein. Pictured here with her two sons, 11-year-old Kowakai Bernstein and 8-year-old Kush Bernstein. So this case originates on the island of Oahu, specifically in Honolulu. Abigail had allegedly met a man online and they planned to take a year-long trip, a boat trip. In October of 2022, Abigail and her two children were last seen here at the Alawai Boat Harbor in Honolulu, Hawaii. The identity of the man that she met and was going on this trip with, I don't think has been made public. I can't, even the FBI, website doesn't have any information on him. But what the FBI has stated is that the boat returned in 2023. I'm assuming that means with the man, but again, I'm not 100% sure. What is sure, however, is that Abigail and her two sons were not on that boat. This entire family has not been seen since they left that boat dock in 2022. Once they were reported missing, the FBI becomes involved, and the FBI would find out that Abigail and her two kids were living a very nomadic lifestyle. They completely cut off, or Abigail did, cut off all communications with her family. So it was literally just her and the two kids. Her two sons were not enrolled in school at the time of their disappearance. Neither of the two kids, or Abigail especially, had a cell phone. They cut off their cell phone before they left. And again, I have to assume that this man they went with was questioned and talked to. I don't know what, if they did, I don't know what he said. It's very strange because the FBI is saying that they don't have any evidence of foul play. However, they cannot rule foul play out. They just don't have proof of it. And most importantly, they don't have this entire family. Where did they go? Some believe that they, could have just started a new life somewhere on another island. Abigail had connections not only to Oahu, but also on the Big Island. She also had connections to people in Naples, Florida, Petoskey, Michigan, and Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I can only assume that they have investigated those angles as well. The hope is that they are just living off the grid somewhere. And if it was just Abigail, they would probably not be pushing this as hard because, she's a 33-plus-year-old adult. But there are two children involved here, and there is concern for their well-being, not necessarily because of Abigail, just because nobody knows where they are or what they're doing, but somebody out there has to have seen them. And as badly as Abigail may not want to be found, people just need to know where these kids are at. Someone somewhere out there knows the truth, and perhaps that someone is you. If you have any information on the whereabouts of Abigail Bernstein or her two sons, please contact the Honolulu, Hawaii FBI office at 808-673-2719.
She sound like she just banned and she trying to live off the
She
grid.
ate a poisonous cake that was left at her doorstep. 17-year-old Ana Neves was from Brazil, and she was described as a quiet girl who had a few close friends. Secretly, one of Anna's best friends was actually jealous of her, and she was planning something sinister. On May 30th of 2025, a guy delivered a package with a cake inside to Anna's home. Anna wasn't home at the time, so her sister took in the package. Anna arrived home later that evening around 6 p.m. and her sister was so excited to show her this cake because it had a note that said, "A treat for the most beautiful girl I've ever seen." Anna was flattered because she believed this was from a secret admirer, and as she was eating this cake, she had no idea that that was a big mistake. Less than an hour after eating that cake, she started to vomit violently and have severe diarrhea. The following day, her symptoms got worse and her father rushed her to the hospital. Medical staff told her that she had food poisoning, so she was given medicine and hooked up to an IV drip, and slowly she started to get better. Soon she was discharged and sent home because it seemed like she was back to normal. But later that day, once she was home, she fell on her bathroom floor and suffered a cardiac arrest. Once emergency services arrived to her home, she had passed away. Anna's family was trying to figure out how this could have even happened to her, and that's when Anna's sister remembered that there was a strange guy who had dropped off this delivery. Her family contacted the police and they were able to determine that this cake was bought at a local pastry shop named Menina Trufa. Owner of the shop spoke with police and she stated that an order was made for this cake and that an unknown delivery guy from an app had picked it up and delivered it. Police tracked down the guy who delivered this cake and he was able to get the address of the person who ordered this cake, and it ended up being Anna's best friend. That friend was brought in for questioning, and at first she denied everything and stated that she had nothing to do with her friend's death, but after hours of questioning with the police, she admitted to everything and stated that she had laced the cake with arsenic that she had bought online for $11.50. She stated that she only meant to scare Anna and didn't mean to harm her at all. She ended up stating that she did this to someone else by sending them a poisonous cake as well because two of her boyfriends left her for this girl. This other victim became extremely ill, but fortunately she survived. This friend was sent to a young offenders institution and her identity is currently being hidden and there is no updates on any kind of sentencing.
Sometimes, man, your friends aren't your friends. Sad fact. She was jealous of her friend, so she sent her that cake. Jealous, she'll drive you to do something.
This is a true horrifying story of Hamdan School in Uganda. This school is an Islamic boarding school for girls. It was donated by one of the royal family members of Dubai 22 years ago. This story was submitted by Afra. An Arabic girl back in 2009 was a student at this high school. She knew that the school was haunted and that there was a graveyard right behind the school. And she heard rumors of many incidents where girls were possessed by jinns. But everything else about the school seems fine, because it's one of the most successful Islamic boarding schools in that region. But that does not deny the fact that jinns may live inside the school. Afra experienced something, and being in her 30s today, this one incident will always haunt her. Afra had a mutual friend that was a student in that same school. She was regularly possessed by one jinn. Out of all the religious students, she was one of the very few that didn't really care about the Islamic education. She always used to party, drink, hangs out with guys, and the jinn that used to possess her was surprisingly a Muslim. He was just furious that she used to disobey her family and her religion. They brought her to one of the halls in the school and they started a ruqya session. Afra was there witnessing the whole thing. After many attempts of trying to make this jinn speak, he finally responded. I am possessing this girl because she disobeys. I will not leave until she changes. They were all shocked and they proceed with the recitation. The moment they stop, just for a few seconds, the possessed girl stares at Afra. Who is this girl? Why is she very quiet? She is very pretty, very nice, but I cannot go near her. Afra froze in her place. She felt numb all around, and she was not able to move a single muscle. The Imam was intrigued, so he asks the jinn, why can't you go near her? What is stopping you? It was a back and forth questioning. The jinn kept saying, I can't. Why can't you? Until it responded. There is someone in front of her with light. What does that mean? They ask. There is someone in front of her with light. I can't go near her. They couldn't interpret what this was exactly. It could have been the veil of light from the Adhkar. But regardless, Afra will never forget the demon's eyes staring deep into her soul, wanting to possess her.
Schools videos in front of.
It was like the Chris Watts story all over again. I don't know if you guys have heard of the father who unalived his 3 daughters after picking them up from their mother's house for a scheduled visitation. So on May 30th at 5 p.m., Travis Decker picked up 9-year-old Peyton, 8-year-old Evelyn, and 5-year-old Olivia from their mother's house and was supposed to return them by 8 p.m. that night. This is the last footage they have of Travis when he went to pick up the girls, and their mother, Whitney, said that when he arrived, he was acting a bit strange. He was more quiet than usual, but she never thought he would ever hurt their daughters. That night, when he failed to return the 3 girls, Whitney called the police and reported her daughters missing, but police told her that because Travis had legal visitation rights, they couldn't immediately issue an Amber Alert. Then, 3 days later, on June 2nd, all 3 girls' bodies were found near Rock Island Campground in Washington. Trigger warning for this part, but the girls were found with plastic bags over their heads and zip ties around their wrists. Travis's truck was found near their bodies, his wallet was inside his vehicle, and there was blood also found that belonged to a man. Travis is still on the run, and investigators found that days before he took his daughter's lives, he searched online how to relocate to find a job in Canada. Now, the mother has spoken out and mentioned that Travis suffered from severe PTSD and BPD after serving in the military and that they failed to provide him with necessary mental health care. What I find so odd about this is that Travis was basically homeless. He was living out of his truck, and Whitney had made a petition to modify the visitations because his mental health was getting so bad. So I don't understand how he was even allowed to take the girls since he didn't have a home.
People who unbelievably cheated death part 2. In 2003 in Wayne County, Utah, Aaron Ralston experienced a climbing accident in which his right arm became trapped between a large boulder in a canyon wall. If this story sounds familiar, it's because it was made famous by the movie 127 Hours. Aaron survived for 5 days on 2 burritos and a bottle of water, and after amputating his own arm, he somehow managed to rappel down the canyon and walked for several hours until he found rescue. In 1982, Stephen Callahan was sailing from the Canary Islands when his boat sank after just 6 days into the trip. Left adrift on a 5-foot life raft, Callahan managed to salvage only 3 pounds of food and 8 pints of water. He managed to survive and travel almost 1,800 miles dealing with dehydration and even shark attacks. After a harrowing 76 days in the open ocean, Callahan was eventually rescued by a fisherman.
I talked about this mother that gave her 6-year-old son an exorcism to clean him of the demons and ended up killing him in Florida. The body camera footage just dropped the cops' interaction with Rhonda Paulinis after she killed her son. She was very nonchalant about the entire situation. You can just feel the aura of the video was weird. I'm going to play it for you guys right now. Let's check it out. Also, check out my YouTube video on it. I just did a 6-minute deep dive on the entire situation, breaking down everything that happened. But let's play the video for you guys now.
You have a 17-year-old son?
17-year-old son?
Or, oh, I'm sorry, a child?
Yes.
They haven't been in school in this whole month?
Oh, yeah, no. It's just that, I haven't sent him to school yet.
Weird.
Okay. So, from what I'm being told, they haven't been in school this whole month.
41, it's all 97? Mm-hmm.
The school is unaware of what's going on with him?
Oh, he's gonna go back to school.
Okay, but at this point, it's already reached the point of truancy. It's reaching the point of truancy.
This is after the child's been killed. They're about to go see him inside right now. Obviously, they can't show that.
Then go inside, so we got at least he's in it. That's what she said.
You can see she's acting weird.
The entire interaction is about 3 to 4 minutes long. Like I said, it's on my YouTube, the entire thing. But this is just such a sad situation for this kid, and the body cam footage, I don't know if you guys felt it, but it was definitely creepy. What are your opinions on this case?
Morbid facts about Mike Tyson, Part 2. While visiting a zoo in the late 1980s, Tyson noticed an alpha silverback gorilla bullying all the others. He offered the zookeeper 10 grand to open the gorilla cage so that he could go in there and smash that silverback snot box. Luckily for the gorilla, the worker declined the offer. Here's a 1997 photo of Las Vegas police facing Mike Tyson after he'd just bitten off the ear of Evander Holyfield. Tyson claimed he was in a primal blacked out state and literally wanted to kill his opponent. Mike had 6 biological children, but his little girl Exodus tragically died when she was only 4 years old. In 2009, Exodus was playing on a treadmill when she accidentally died from strangulation after falling and catching her neck on a power cord. 3 years after signing with Don King, Tyson didn't even know that he had a fan club. When he finally went there, he found a letter from a woman asking if Tyson could call her dying little boy. Tyson immediately called, hung up, cursed out Don King, then started to cry. He said that the call was 1 year too late.
Man, Mike Tyson had a crazy life. If you think about it, he started that one man versus 100 gorillas thing. He's the OG.
These are some truly unsettling facts. And I found all these on Reddit. Number 1, the world's loneliest whale. There's a whale that resides deep in the ocean that has been singing a song for years, but no other whales can understand it. The reason is because this whale's voice is so deep that it's too low for any other whale to hear. And he's been calling out trying to find a mate or a family member for years now, but nobody can hear him or find him. So he's been swimming deep in the ocean by himself for so long. And it's because of this that scientists have called him the world's loneliest whale. Number 2, Abraham Lincoln. Now, we all know Abraham Lincoln. He was like our 15th or 16th president or something like that, had a crazy beard, and he was assassinated. But this is a very unsettling fact about him. The 3 days leading up to the fateful night where Abraham Lincoln would be assassinated, Lincoln had had nightmares detailing his assassination. And we know this because his bodyguard, who was named Crook, actually detailed this entire thing. Lincoln had told Crook about all these nightmares, and Crook begged him not to go to the theater. And all that Lincoln said in return was, "Goodbye, Crook." And he left. And the reason why this was weird was because Crook said every single time that Abe had left, he would always say good night, not goodbye. But he could tell that Abe knew this would be the last time they saw each other. And finally, emergency broadcast. Now, we all know what an emergency broadcast is, but in the event of the world ending, CNN has a pre-recorded emergency broadcast from the 1990s that would kind of be like a farewell to everyone. They have this ready to play just in case that fateful day comes, and that to me is truly horrifying, which is why it's perfect for today's video.
So I've been to Thailand, and I can tell you, not only is this a way of life in some places, this is not the furthest it can go. It's a story you've heard before, with an animal losing its natural to people building cities on top of their ancestral avenues. Yeah, except elephants are smart enough to do something about it. Imagine over the hedge, but if the entire cast was 10,000 pounds plus. It's basically living with giant overachieving raccoons that can also turn you 2D, and you don't realize how stealthy a living tank is, till you realize they live their lives tiptoeing, which is why the chances you get carjacked by an elephant are almost zero. Unless you're driving in Thailand. In some parts, elephants have memorized the paths of sugarcane trucks and will literally block the entire road like a one-man toll. Only after they take their share of sugarcane do they let the driver go on their way. And the main guy responsible is this bull they named, of course, the Dawn. And there is no dodging the Dawn because the spongy material in their feet can detect low-frequency vibrations from miles away, so they can clock things like an earthquake before it hits or a truck carrying goodies. But the best part is, even though Dawn could probably empty the entire truck, he always takes enough food to feed himself, but not so much that the drivers have to do something about it. Basically, he's just a part of life, and he's even taught other bulls to use the same discernment. It doesn't always go down like that. The elephant-human conflict often gets both sides relieved from the senses, but that is the most professional carjacking I've ever seen. Just light work for the smartest thing alive without thumbs. The more you know, and just for the record, there is definitely an elephant in here.
Here's a test to see if you or someone you know has arachnophobia. Arachnophobia is the extreme fear of spiders. At level 1, we have the daddy long legs. When I find one of these spiders in my basement, it freaks me out. It's definitely the legs, but if this freaked you out, don't watch level 2. Okay, at level 2 we have this spider. I don't know why, but it feels like it's looking right at me. This one honestly makes me super uncomfortable, so we're going to level 3. Yeah, this one freaks me out. One of the biggest things about spiders that I'm afraid of is them biting me, and this captures that perfectly. If you passed all the levels, congrats. Make sure you send this to a friend to see if they can.
I passed, but like you said,
in 2005, a 37-year-old man from Houston, Texas decided to go to the beach to fish. The sand on this beach was super compact, meaning that it kind of felt like concrete. So it wasn't uncommon for people to take their cars on this beach. And on this specific day, John decided to drive his truck all the way up close to the shore where he unloaded and began to fish. He waded into the water so that he was about waist deep and began to fish. After a few hours of fishing, the weather started to get a little worse. And John, who had been out there for most of the day at this point, was beginning to feel a little bit tired. So he decided that he would take a nap. But instead of taking a nap inside of his truck, which was right next to him, he decided to crawl underneath it and sleep under the truck. And soon, John drifted to sleep. Hours went by and soon it was dark outside. Unfortunately, while John was sleeping, the tide came up and his truck began to sink in the soft sand. And in doing this, it crushed him to death.
Why would he climb up under his truck and sleep on a beach? That makes no sense at all. The car is right there.
So Amy Slayton from TLC's 1,000 Pound Sisters was just arrested, and the way she was arrested is an actual fever dream. Like, honestly, I feel bad because if this goes the wrong way, she could lose custody of her children. So on Labor Day, Amy Slayton, her boyfriend, and 2 children went to a safari park in Alamo, Tennessee. It's basically like a drive-through zoo where you can feed the animals and pet them if they let you. We don't know exactly how it went down yet, but sources are saying that Amy was bit by one of the camels. I don't know if the injury was so bad that Amy called the police or if it's just the park's policy to call the authorities anytime someone is bit by an animal, but the police were called, and when they approached Amy's car, they immediately smelled some green flour, if you know what I mean. And when the authorities looked inside, they allegedly saw the flour and some special mushrooms in plain sight. Amy and her boyfriend Brian Lavorne faced charges of illegal possession of Schedule 1 and Schedule 6, and because the children were in the car, they also faced 2 counts of child endangerment. We know that the children are safe and staying with Amy's family members. But Tennessee's Child Protective Services are still investigating, so this could end very badly for Amy. And as of now, I'm pretty sure Amy is still in the Crockett County Jail on a $10,000 bond. I am unaware if 1,000 Pound Sisters is even filming right now, but if you are, let me know in the comments.
They put a 3-year-old in a shed without water or electricity, and now this couple was just arrested in Georgia for doing so. On top of that, the shed was apparently absolutely disgusting. Their charges include child cruelty, which makes sense. They did leave a 3-year-old in the shed with nothing. And they didn't leave him in there for like a day or 2. They left him in there for like 2 to 4 weeks. He was unsupervised, unwashed. He didn't even have clothes. Authorities have not revealed whether or not, these 2 are the parents or not. They've also not revealed how they even knew the child was being held in this shed, so it must have been some anonymous tip or something. The neighbors were not surprised about the child cruelty charges or how nasty the shed was. Neighbors made a comment on how they weren't surprised given the lifestyle they were living. I'm assuming by that statement these people were nasty inside and out. All we can do now is hope the child can recover from this and go to a happy family. If I'm guessing, these 2 will probably go to jail 5 to 10 years, but if you're from Georgia, let me know if you guys have heard about this story. I think this happened near Atlanta. What are your general opinions on the story? Do you guys think the child was also related to them or not? Maybe it was a nephew or something, I don't know.
Scary facts that will blow your mind. Part 1. The middle of nowhere is an actual place within New Mexico. The legend goes that an elderly couple lived out there with their dog and witnessed many strange and bizarre things. One night, they reported seeing a strange creature that they identified as a skinwalker. After reporting this to the police, the family had vanished under strange circumstances. Their dog, however, was left behind. This is the story that Courage the Cowardly Dog was based off of. Like and follow for more.
The more you know. I never knew that. I watched that as a kid. Man, this pieces of media are based off true stories, man. And get your mind thinking.
Here's some crazy history that you didn't learn in school. A woman back in 1986 earned her helicopter pilot's license, rented a helicopter, flew it over a prison to rescue her husband, a convicted bank robber, from the roof. Whatever it takes, I guess. 2 million people from Latvia, Estonia, and Lithuania formed a 600-kilometer human chain that united all 3 countries to show the world their desire to leave the Soviet Union. A mechanic heroically fixed a plane's landing gear mid-flight from a moving car in 1985. A person nicknamed Sober Sue drew people out to see her in the early 1900s because she never smiled. A theater literally offered $1,000, which was a lot of money back then, to anyone who could make her laugh, attracting even the most famous comedians. It later came out that Sober Sue suffered from facial paralysis, making it impossible for her to smile. Neptune was only discovered after astronomers noticed Uranus's orbit wobbling. Mathematicians predicted where it was by using Newton's laws, and a telescope confirmed that Neptune was right where they thought it was. And the fact that it was in the 1800s, that's so cool.
Morbid facts, part...
You don't know what part?
69. The Grinch as a kid was played by an 18-year-old actor with dwarfism who was barely 3 feet tall. Sadly, he died of heart failure just 2 years after the movie was released. A woman posted this photo to Reddit to show the progression of Alzheimer's through her mother's crocheting. From left to right, the squares show her mother's decline over a 2-year span. When the mummy of Ramses II was transported to France in 1974, it was issued an Egyptian passport that listed his occupation as deceased king. A designer of the Titanic named Thomas Andrews was on board as it sank. His original design included more safety features such as watertight compartments and twice as many lifeboats. But his ideas were rejected because others thought that the extra safety features would make the ship look ugly. He spent his last moments helping to evacuate passengers, and his body was never recovered.
This 2-year-old went missing in New York City, and now they're suspecting that his father threw him into the river. Police are now diving in the Bronx right now to try to find him. The child was last seen in early May with the father, so obviously he's suspect number 1 right now, but he's being suspicious. The mother asked him about where her son is, and he pulled out a knife on her just a couple days ago on June 7th. He went missing on May 10th at 10 p.m. He was last seen leaving a family get-together with his father. The mother also filed a police report that same night, so I think she knew something was going on here. The mother contacted police again after the knife was pulled out on her. The father was brought to court on Monday, June 9th, and when asked about the child's whereabouts, he would not say anything at all. He didn't have an alibi, he didn't have a good excuse for anything, so he's still in custody. They're not letting him leave. The father is 20 years old. I'm assuming the mother's probably around the same age. And like I said, they have a 2-year-old together. Maybe the stress of being a young dad sent him over the edge and he decided to kill his kid. But even so, they have 50-50 custody. Why not just give the mother 100% custody and let the kid live? Like I said in the beginning, they are searching the Bronx River right now to try to find him. That's where they think he was thrown into. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Or what are your general opinions on this story?
Imagine hating your family so much that you fake your own death to run away with another woman. Well, that's exactly what this man did. On August 11, Ryan Borgward went on a fishing trip, and that was the last time his wife and 3 kids saw him. His wife reported him missing, and when police went to go look for him, they found his kayak upside down, his car still parked, and his cell phone in the water. So obviously police thought that there was an accident and he drowned, so they had a search team look for him in the water, but they couldn't find him. But then in October, 2 months after he disappeared, police found out that he crossed over into Canada just a few days after he went missing. So imagine, at first the family's devastated because they think that their father is dead, but then they find out that he's alive and he's in Canada. When police got a hold of his laptop, they found out that this man had been plotting how to fake his death for months. He went about getting a new passport, purchased a $375,000 life insurance policy. He wiped out everything from his computer and even changed the emails linked to his bank accounts. But it gets even crazier because police found out that he sent money to a foreign account, and then they find out that he was in contact with a Russian woman this entire time. So did he leave his family to start a new life? But then everything kind of went downhill for him because he sent police a video telling them that he was safe and alive and there's nothing to be worried about. Then he decided to return to Wisconsin a couple of days ago and he was arrested for faking his own death. So my question is, what made him come back? Did his relationship with this woman not work out?
And I'm gonna tell you maybe he found out the grass isn't green on the other side. He left his whole family, went to the most extremes to do it, man. Faking your own death just to get away from your family. You couldn't just break it off, get a divorce like normal people. He went to the utmost extremes, man. I don't know what was going on there.
Exactly why that deer put the hooves on that woman, and how you can avoid getting violated by venison. So a deer, or really just grazing or hunting animals in general, they'll often leave their deer dependents hidden in one spot for most of the day while they feed themselves. They'll leave the fawn for hours and really only stop by a couple times a day to nurse or groom them. That's actually why the baby Bambis of the world have spots. It breaks up their outline and helps them hide from threats to minor safety. Mama deer will even lick around the baby's undertail area to make it pee and poop, which the mother will eat to minimize the newborn scent, because sometimes motherhood is just a sandwich of shiitake mushrooms. Now what does that have to do with old girl getting the beats put on her like Afro music? You remember how people used to say you should never touch a baby bird because your scent means its mother will abandon it? Well, it's a myth. Most birds can't smell, but it's actually because a lot of the times the fledgling out of the nest is perfectly fine, and the myth is to keep kids from accidentally killing baby birds with kindness. The difference is, in a world of fight or flight, deer can't fly. Also, because there's obviously less predators around us, deer get real lazy with their hiding spots, and I know that because I literally
took this video a year ago of a baby deer out in the open. And despite my crippling lesser judgment, I didn't touch him, I didn't even get close to him, and a couple hours later his mama and friends came to pick him up. That's the difference between walking away and getting the brakes beaten off you by a boxing ass Bambi. The more you know. Actually no, because I got curious, looked it up, and it's somehow worse because woman took a picture of a deer giving birth, so the more she knows.
3 people that you won't believe exist. This Indian woman has a condition that makes her grow extra fingers and extra toes inside the womb. Altogether, this woman has 31 fingers and toes. And this person's huge jaws is actually from a medical condition. The condition is called cherubism. Doctors were shocked when this man walked into the emergency room with severe chest pain. After some ultrasounds to see what was causing his pain, they actually found out that this man had 2 hearts.
This video is going to change how you see the world. This map shows how much forest is covering each state. And honestly, 71% Alabama surprises me. I didn't realize it had that much forest. 89% in Maine compared to what I know of in Washington and Oregon being around 50% also blows my mind. I've never been to the Northeast other than New York. This map shows which country is closest to where you live in the United States. Being in Jacksonville, Florida, I live near the Bahamas. I actually put this map up on my Facebook page a few months ago, and everyone thought that I was suggesting that Mexico should take over that part of America. Canada should take over all of the north part of America. Cuba should only take Floribama, just nothing else, just that little spot, you know? Because why not? This map gives us a better idea of what the true size is of each country on Earth without it stretching like crazy. Like, Canada kind of looks like the same size as the United States here. Russia isn't crazy big. Honestly, it's really Africa that's just like the majority of the world.
One Direction's Liam Payne is reportedly dead after falling off a 3-story balcony. When the news first broke, a lot of people, including myself, thought that this was a hoax. But TMZ has since published images showing portions of his body, and the tattoos are matching up. Several witnesses also saw Liam fall from his 3rd-story balcony. We still don't know if the incident happened shortly after 5 p.m. Witnesses say that Liam was acting erratic in the hotel lobby earlier. He apparently smashed his laptop and had to be carried back to his room. We still don't know if someone was in the room with him or if he was completely alone. I'm assuming Liam was still in Argentina because of Niall Horan's concert earlier this month, where he reunited with all of the One Direction members. In the summer of 2021, Liam revealed his struggles with alcohol and prescription drugs, relation that this outburst had to do with his ex-fiancée. Her attorney has been trying to send him a cease and desist to stop him from contacting her. All in all, we really don't know if this was an accident or intentional or what caused it. If there's any more breaking news or updates, I will leave a comment below.
How rare is your body? 83.7% of people can roll their tongue, but only 14.7% can make a clover out of their tongue. Only 4% of people have an outie belly button. Believe it or not, doctors can't choose if you have an innie or an outie. It just kind of happens. 10% of people have something called Morton's toe. And this is where your big toe is shorter than the toe next to it. The Statue of Liberty actually has a Morton's toe. I don't know if you knew that. 1% of people have a double row of eyelashes. Although a lot of people would probably be jealous over this, it actually causes a ton of problems. Next, 2% of people have naturally red hair. In order for a child to have this hair color, both parents must possess the gene.
Wow. So gingers are rare. Find yourself a ginger, man. Treat him right. It's a rare breed.
Scary Facts That Will Blow Your Mind, Part 2. The Hoia Baciu Forest is considered the most haunted forest in all of Romania. Hundreds of people have gone missing within these woods, among other things like screams, laughter, babies crying, people being attacked by unseen paranormal forces, strange balls of light, UFOs, and in the very center of the forest lies a clearing where no plant life will grow. It is believed that this spot is a portal to another dimension. What do you think? Like and follow for more.
There are tens of thousands of videos of Epstein, and there are hundreds of victims, and no one victim will ever get released.
So we already know that Attorney General Pam Bondi's release of the Epstein files was a pure smokescreen. I mean, I could have told you that months before this even happened. Obviously, they're never going to release any documents that would implicate anybody. And the Epstein issue is an issue that no administration is ever going to be fully transparent in, because it involves people from both parties. This is a non-partisan issue. This is an us versus them issue. It is interesting, though, that she says in that clip that they have thousands of videos. Now, whether you want to believe her or not, that's totally up to you. But my question then is, why don't you release the names of the individuals that are seen in those videos? We all know for a fact that it's not only Epstein in those videos, and we know for a fact that Epstein was recording all of these things, recording his encounters and his guests' encounters with the minors that he was trafficking. So why don't you prosecute any of those people on the tapes? Republican or Democrat, I'm for both of them to be prosecuted. So why don't they just do it? If you want to hear me dive deep into Epstein, it was the first episode of my show, The Conspiracy File, which you can listen to on all podcasting platforms, or you can watch the show in video form on YouTube. And yes, my first episode was Epstein.
I don't think they're never gonna release those files, like I said. That's just, it ain't gonna happen.
This autistic teenager was left alone with his baby brother when the house burnt down.
Listening to both sides, question testimony. I believe the state has, in fact, met their burden. So therefore, I am going to find that there is probable cause to charge the individual with the found over before General Sessions Court for those charges.
17-year-old Jacob Morgan lives in South Carolina with his parents and 14-month-old brother Josh. He was diagnosed with autism, bipolar disorder, and had learning disabilities. Aside from that, he was a great older brother who loved giving Josh piggyback rides and making him laugh. In 2015, their parents left Jacob alone with Josh. Around 8 a.m., their entire trailer was in flames. Jacob then runs out to nearby neighbors begging for help while Josh is inside. Jacob tried to go back into that trailer to save him, but neighbors were not allowing him because they had no idea that Josh was still inside. As first responders arrived, Jacob was sobbing and banging his head, and unfortunately Josh did not survive. Since Jacob was the only one at home with Josh, he was interrogated for 5 hours without his parents or a lawyer. He kept switching his stories around, but with being autistic, the high stress was getting to him. At first he stated that maybe the fire happened because a pillow was leaned against the heater, but later on he revealed that he started little fires in different rooms because he was obsessed with flames. Even with this confession, everyone who knew Jacob knew that he would never want to hurt Josh. Ultimately, Jacob was arrested and he took a plea deal for involuntary manslaughter, third-degree arson, and unlawful neglect of a child. While he was in court, he was sobbing uncontrollably, stating that he didn't mean to hurt his little brother right before he was sentenced to 15 years in prison. In 2022, Jacob ended up being released to go live with his parents. Let me know what you guys think about this case.
That case has some twists and turns. Major twists and turns.
Here's the meaning behind beloved rappers' names. Starting off, we have X. He said his name revolves around the unknown in his life, but let's have a listen.
Right, so X Tentacion means unknown temptation. The significance of the X. For some time, the X was the only unknown numeral to me. So, Tentacion is temptation in Latin. So I actually just pushed the two together in unknown temptation because I feel as if that's what my life revolves around.
Next, we have Juice WRLD. His name was heavily inspired by Tupac and a misspelling. Let's have a listen.
The haircut, like the juice cut, like Tupac, when he had the movie, I think WRLD came from me spelling it wrong. I think I was making like an account on something, and I spelled it wrong because WRLD was actually taken like.
And finally, we have Lil Uzi Vert.
I already had the vert part. It was like vertical, like straight up. One day I was rapping and there was this guy, he was out there, he was like, oh man, you rap fast like a machine gun, like a little Uzi or something.
So they got those names.
She ate a poisonous cake that was left at her doorstep. 17-year-old Ana Neves was from Brazil, and she was described as a quiet girl who had a few close friends. Secretly, one of Anna's best friends was actually jealous of her, and she was planning something sinister. On May 30th of 2025, a guy delivered a package with a cake inside to Anna's home. Anna wasn't home at the time, so her sister took in the package. Anna arrived home later that evening around 6 p.m. and her sister was so excited to show her this cake because it had a note that said, "A treat for the most beautiful girl I've ever seen." Anna was flattered because she believed this was from a secret admirer, and as she was eating this cake, she had no idea that that was a big mistake. Less than an hour after eating that cake, she started to vomit violently and have severe diarrhea. The following day, her symptoms got worse and her father rushed her to the hospital. Medical staff told her that she had food poisoning, so she was given medicine and hooked up to an IV drip, and slowly she started to get better. Soon she was discharged and sent home because it seemed like she was back to normal. But later that day, once she was home, she fell on her bathroom floor and suffered a cardiac arrest. Once emergency services arrived to her home, she had passed away. Anna's family was trying to figure out how this could have even happened to her, and that's when Anna's sister remembered that there was a strange guy who had dropped off this delivery. Her family contacted the police and they were able to determine that this cake was bought at a local pastry shop named Menina Trufa. The owner of the shop spoke with police and she stated that an order was made for this cake and that an unknown delivery guy from an app had picked it up and delivered it. Police tracked down the guy who delivered this cake and he was able to get the address of the person who ordered this cake, and it ended up being Anna's best friend. That friend was brought in for questioning, and at first she denied everything and stated that she had nothing to do with her friend's death, but after hours of questioning with the police, she admitted to everything and stated that she had laced the cake with arsenic that she had bought online for $11.50. She stated that she only meant to scare Anna and didn't mean to harm her at all. She ended up stating that she did this to someone else by sending them a poisonous cake as well because 2 of her boyfriends left her for this girl. This other victim became extremely ill, but fortunately she survived. This friend was sent to a young offenders institution and her identity is currently being hidden and there is no updates on any kind of sentencing.
This is the most lawless island on Earth. It's illegal for anyone, including law enforcement, to go there, as many attempts have been made and eventually we just gave up. It's called North Sentinel Island, off the coast of India, and it's home to one of the last uncontacted tribes in the world, the Sentinelese. And we managed to catch a glimpse of what life looks like for them. Now, uncontacted tribes are more common than you think, with about 100 remaining in small pockets around the world. Nomadic hunter-gatherers who never adapted to modern civilization and have been living the same way for literally tens of thousands of years. Most of them live in the Amazon rainforest in South America and may occasionally come across signs of modern society like explorers or equipment left behind by them. What makes North Sentinel Island so dangerous is that it's a remote island surrounded by the ocean, which is all their inhabitants have known for their entire history, which according to studies is about 60,000 years. And sits over 500 kilometers away from its closest mainland civilization, Myanmar. Although its closest neighbor, the nearby Indian territory of the Andaman Islands, is just about 30 kilometers away. There have been a few incidents of outsiders visiting them, and it almost never ends well. Anthropologists have been dying to get a closer look at them, but anytime boats or helicopters get close to the island, they get attacked by spears and arrows by the Sentinelese. First recorded instance was in 1867, when an Indian merchant ship was wrecked on the island and the passengers were immediately attacked by bows and arrows. They managed to fend themselves off for a whole week before they were rescued. In 1974, a film crew shooting a documentary visited the island with gifts, from which the Sentinelese were caught on camera for the very first time. But they still attacked them when they got too close. On Google Maps, you can see a transport ship that got wrecked on the island in 1981, potentially kickstarting an Iron Age for these people. Then, in 1991, the first ever peaceful contact was made by anthropologist T.N. Pandit, who sent gifts of coconuts to the island for a whole 24 years before the tribe finally accepted him. They actually ended up having quite a few friendly close encounters with each other over the next several weeks, and to this day remains the closest we've ever gotten to befriending them, because they sure switched up the next time we came back. In 2006, 2 men fell asleep in a fishing boat that drifted too close to the island, and the Sentinelese attacked and ended their lives with arrows in their sleep. After this incident, a 5-kilometer exclusion zone was made around the island, making it illegal for anyone to visit. As recently as 2018, a missionary illegally visited the island on a fishing boat to spread Christianity among the tribe. He tried multiple times to make peaceful contact once again, and even had his Bible shot by an arrow, recording it all down in his journal, which was recovered from his boat. But then he found out exactly why this island is off limits. He wrote his last journal entry of heading onto the island and was never seen again, presumed either captured and or ended by the tribe. Rest in peace, John Allen Chow. Around the same time, never before seen drone footage taken deeper inland of the island was captured up close for the very first time, showing us how they live, their shelters, pathways, and even a large dome that could serve as a marketplace, a theater, or even a religious site of sorts. And also captured the Sentinelese people themselves in their natural habitat, each one of them curiously looking up at the drone, which they probably thought was a demon or maybe even a god that may become part of their culture's mythology in the centuries to come.
Man. Don't go to that island. it won't end well. Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I really appreciate the support. Make sure you guys leave a thumbs up in this video. Comment down below. Also, don't forget to hit that post notification bell so you always get notified when I upload my next videos. You guys are going to catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Appreciate you.